Valentine's Day is like riding a love roller coaster. You never know what surprises are in store for you. For some, it's a day of fairy tale proposals and heartfelt gifts, marking the beginning of forever, while others find themselves embarking on new romantic journeys ignited by the magical moment. But amid the celebrations, there are also heartbreaks as some relationships meet their end. From passionate declarations to tearful goodbyes, Valentine's Day captures the full spectrum of love's highs and lows. Yesterday brought back a lot of memories which I am going to share below. I would also like to hear about your Valentine Day's experience. Last 2 years, I was convinced that Valentine's Day would be the most memorable day in my life. I had been with Jude for 3 years, and every sign pointed to one thing: he was going to propose. He had been acting secretive, dropping hints about a big surprise, and even my best friend Nora had been extra giddy, which made me certain she was in on it. So when he told me to dress up for a fancy dinner at one of the most romantic restaurants in town, my heart swelled with anticipation. I couldn't contain my excitement, so I called my sisters, Blessing and Grace. As soon as they picked up, I yelled into the phone, "I am getting engaged tonight." "Wow, congratulations," they both chorused. They stayed on the phone while I got ready. They also said yes to the perfect dress for the night. Finally, I was all glammed up and ready to leave. "Don't forget to call us when he pops the question," Grace said. "Yes, I can't wait to see your ring," Blessing added. I smiled and said, "Of course I would call you. Love you both." And with that, I hung up and headed for the door. I arrived early, my red dress hugging my curves perfectly, my heart racing with excitement. As I sat at our candlelit table waiting for Jude, I couldn't help but picture the moment. The waiter brings in a dessert with a hidden ring. Jude gets down on one knee, and I cry happy tears. The thought was interrupted, as at that moment, Jude finally walked in. He looked different. His expression was tense, his eyes darting around as if he was searching for something. The dinner started with awkward small talk. He barely touched his food, and every time I reached for his hand, he pulled away. My stomach churned. Something was wrong. And then, out of nowhere, he sighed deeply and said, "We need to talk." Where have I heard those words? Those dreaded 4 words that never end well. "What is going on?" I wondered. I was surprised when I heard my voice, which was barely above a whisper, ask, "Talk about what?" Jude hesitated before blurting out, "I can't do this anymore." For a moment I thought I misheard him. "Can't do what?" I asked, my chest tightening up. "This us," he said, his voice firm but cold. "I don't think we're right for each other anymore." I felt a hot slap on my face, even though that never happened. The words hit me like a physical blow, because I felt the blood drain from my face as confusion and disbelief crashed over me. This was supposed to be our engagement night. How could he be breaking up with me instead? In our 5 years of dating, at what point did he realize I wasn't right for him? I didn't cry. I couldn't. I just sat there numb, staring at the man, or should I say the Judas the betrayer, I thought I knew. "Is there someone else?" I finally asked. After a moment of hesitation that was just a little bit too long, Jude finally mumbled, "It's not like that." But I knew. I knew the truth without needing any more words. That night, I didn't remember leaving the restaurant. I don't know who left the restaurant first between Jude and me. All I remember was wandering the city streets, aimless and heartbroken, the chilly night air doing little to numb the pain. My phone rang nonstop and I got messages from Grace, but I couldn't bring myself to answer, so I turned off my phone. The world felt empty, and then in the middle of my sorrow, I bumped into him. Literally. A strong, steady hand caught me before I could stumble. "Hey, are you okay?" I looked up into the most beautiful blue eyes I had ever seen. It looked as if I were peering into the depths of the ocean. The stranger's face was kind, his expression filled with concern. My voice trembled. "I just got dumped." His brows lifted slightly, and then to my utter surprise, he smiled. "Wow, that's rough. But hey, at least you're not the only one alone on Valentine's Day." I let out a bitter laugh. "Lucky me." He smiled and offered his hand. "I'm Michael. Since both our Valentine's plans are ruined, what do you say to grabbing a drink and laughing about it?" I hesitated. My heart was still raw, my thoughts a tangled mess, but something about him, his easy confidence, his warmth made me say, "Why not?" Moreover, I craved the comforting distraction. I wasn't prepared to return home and drown in self-pity. I had put considerable effort into getting ready for the evening, so I might as well savor the night and think of my woes tomorrow. Unbeknownst to me, that single response, "why not?" would change everything. Michael and I talked for hours. He was funny and insightful, and he had this uncanny way of making me forget the pain in my chest. By the time we said goodbye, I wasn't healed, but I wasn't hurting like before. I arrived home to find my sisters anxiously waiting for me in my apartment. They were worried sick, having not heard from me. It was so unlike me. I always picked up my calls or returned messages without delay. When they saw me, they knew instantly what had happened. After all, they were my sisters and knew me better than I knew myself. Grace, the fiery one, exclaimed, "No, he didn't." I could only nod, feeling the tears I had vowed not to shed for Jude rising in my throat. Blessing, the eldest, enveloped me in her arms as I started sobbing uncontrollably. That night, I cried myself to sleep. Thankfully, my sisters stayed with me for 2 more days to ensure I was feeling better before they returned to their homes. I had turned off my phone on Valentine's night, unwilling to speak with anyone. When I finally turned my phone back on, I was greeted by a barrage of missed calls and messages. Only one name caught my attention: Michael's. "Oh my goodness, Michael!" I had totally forgotten about the handsome blue-eyed gentleman I had met. He had sent several messages, checking on me and hoping I could join him for a drink. That was 2 days ago. I quickly replied, and he called me back immediately. As soon as I heard his gentle yet masculine voice, memories of the night we laughed came rushing back. Over the next few months, Michael became my unexpected source of light. We started as friends, sharing our lives over long walks and late-night calls. And then slowly something deeper blossomed. The thought of opening my heart again terrified me, but Michael never rushed me. The fact that he simply showed up again and again proved that love wasn't supposed to be painful or uncertain. It was supposed to be steady, warm, and honest. As time went by, our bond grew stronger, and Michael asked me to be his girlfriend, of which I answered yes. Michael and I went on different adventures. We took many road trips as he enjoyed driving, and I loved being his passenger. We talked about everything: how hopes, fears, dreams, finances, culture, everything. He taught me the joy of simple moments and the power of unwavering support. A year later, on another Valentine's Day, I found myself in the same restaurant where my heart had been shattered. But this time, Michael was the one across the table, holding my hand, smiling at me like I was his entire world. The atmosphere was filled with warmth and love, a stark contrast to the heartache I had once felt. I wasn't anticipating anything out of the ordinary. It was just going to be like one of our countless dates on a special day at a restaurant I adored, despite holding a grudge against it for what happened exactly a year ago. The music was lively, the food as delicious as ever, and our conversation flowed effortlessly. Everything about the night was simply wonderful. I was genuinely happy. So when the waiter brought in the dessert, I was on cloud nine, savoring my sticky toffee pudding. Who doesn't love sticky toffee pudding? As I took another bite, I felt something hard in my mouth. Just then, as if on cue, the music in the restaurant changed. I took out the most stunning diamond ring I had ever seen. Immediately, Michael got down on one knee, his eyes filled with love and hope, and asked me to be his forever. Tears of joy streamed down my face as I said yes, my heart overflowing with happiness. Everyone in the restaurant turned to look at us, smiling and applauding. What a magical night! I had never felt so loved as I did that night. As I looked into Michael's eyes, I realized something beautiful. Sometimes, what feels like the worst day of your life is actually the start of your greatest blessing. Our journey had brought us to this perfect moment, surrounded by love and hope for the future. We celebrated our engagement with our closest friends and family, who had witnessed our love story unfold. The night was filled with laughter, dancing, and heartfelt toasts, each one a testament to the love that had blossomed between us. This Valentine, as we stood hand in hand pushing our baby stroller through the park, I couldn't help but smile at how far we had come. Michael is still my source of light, my steady, warm, and true love. And every day I thank God for that one why not that had changed everything. Have you ever had a heartbreak that led you to something even better? Let's talk in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind us that love always finds a way.